In this segment, Chris and I will attempt to answer your burning questions through our own unqualified minds. Our resident sexpert and all-round babe, Robert Grigor, will also provide helpful advice. And look, seeing as Robert actually wrote his honor thesis about dick pics and social identity online, I trust his opinion way more. And honestly,
Fair,
so should you.
fair, very fair.
Now, our first question is, hello, I'm not sure what pictures to use for my dating profiles. Any advice? Now, I have a very specific rule when it comes to dating profiles. If I go through someone's Tinder and it's all group photos, it's immediately swipe left. I don't have time to figure out who the fuck you are in these
Yeah.
photos.
Also,
Likewise,
what's the point of having group pics?
yeah,
Like, is it meant to say like, oh, I have friends? I mean, I'm glad, but I'm here
yeah.
to like look at your profile, not Cindy's, not freaking. I'm not using a scary movie, Cindy. I'm just talking about. Sorry, let me try that again. Yeah, I'm not interested in whoever the fuck that is or whoever that is. Like, I'm wanting you. I'm looking
Yeah.
at you. Sell me you. Don't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
One other rule I have is that I use photos where I look like I'm 7 out of 10 as opposed to 10 out of 10. Not
Mhm.
that I think I'm a 10 out of 10, but I'll come across Tinder profiles where it's like professional photo shoots, and I'm just like, but that's not how you would really look in reality. So I'm going to swipe
Yeah.
left as well. But
Mm.
even with my photos, like I've purposely chosen photos where it's like, oh, I look good, but not great. And
Yeah.
so that when I show up on the date, they're like, oh, wow, you look so much better in real life. And I'm like, oh, me? I didn't plan that.
Ooh.
And like at the same time, like people like other different types of photos. If they're just looking for a hookup, of course they're gonna want to see pictures with like more skin or
Yeah.
like floaty positions, that type of stuff. Whereas if someone's looking for a relationship, hey, they might also want that type of pictures as well, but maybe
Mm.
they want something where it's like, someone in a business suit, or they're attending a friend's wedding, or something that shows they're looking for love. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's no 100% effective strategy, no matter how many people there are that try to do courses being like, here's how to find true love on apps. Step one, take photos with puppies. Ha ha ha. Like, no, there's no one effective foolproof strategy. I'm just going to say that.
No, you
But
got to take one with a fish.
and you have
For
to caption your
God's
bio
sake.
as a nice catch.
Oh, I know. Yes. As soon as
Uh,
I see, like, I'm going Tinder, I was like, oh, the one with a fish, straight. No. Like, for fuck's sake. Don't
uh,
get why having a picture of fish is such a staple. I don't know. I don't get it.
it's such a hetero culture thing. And I say that as someone who actually enjoys fishing, but would I ever put a picture of myself fishing?
Yeah.
No, because I'm not straight.
It's like, is it meant to be like, is that the size you can expect? Like, this freaking king snapper is. Anyway.
it's just crazy to me. But Chris, do you have any unqualified advice for our listeners?
Yeah, so do I open my Tinder? Fuck it. I'm gonna open my Tinder, and if there's something about it I don't like, I will just tell you. Okay, so with pictures, I'm going to say, how do you access your profile on here? I can never. Oh yeah.
I
Yeah, all good,
can't
all good.
remember.
Oh god, there's already some photos. I'm like, why did I put those up? I suggest one for your first photo, nothing that's filtered. Okay, like this may not be for everyone's advice, but I think having a photo that's unfiltered, unedited first is good, because that's automatically where you're thinking, okay, this is the full package.
Yeah.
Just your face. I personally don't have any ones where I'm showing like more skin than socially acceptable. That's just me.
How come all the pictures on her wall are selfies? Does she not have any friends? Shut up, hoe bag.
When I first used Tinder back in 2014, if I came across group profiles and we would match, they'd be like, hey cutie, how are you? I'd be like, which one are you? I'm like, I need to know which one you are before I give out compliments or anything, because
Yeah.
like, why are you hiding behind a group? Or maybe are they all? Actually, in one case, they were actually all part of a huge polyamorous relationship.
Oh,
It's
how many were there?
5.
How?
So there were, I think back then Tinder limited photos to 5 at that stage. But every photo, it was the same group of 5 people. But nowhere in their bio did it mention they were all together. They just had the name Max. And I was like, which one
one's
are
Max?
you?
Yeah.
Like, Max could also be short for Maxine for a girl.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, which one are you? Turns out Max was the name of their pet dog. And that's what they decided to go with on the app. And, now they've actually opened up Tinder and some of these dating platforms. So you can do combined profiles or couple profiles or thruples, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a lot more helpful now. Should have been implemented back then. But
exactly.
I mean, that's what Tinder was back then. Very heterocentric.
Yeah.
But Robert, I'm very curious to know, what's your advice for our listeners?
Oh gosh, I don't really know if this is in my professional wheelhouse. What photos do you choose? I struggle with this on my grinder all the time. I hate updating my pictures. I guess, but maybe a more general advice on this is to be conscious of what you're trying to get out of your profile or what you're trying to say with the photos. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. If you're looking for sex or hookups on Grindr, then maybe you want to include a few extra pics in your speedos, or some thirst traps, or as much skin as the public photos are allowed to show. If you're on Hinge looking for a husband, maybe something more wholesome as well, or some pictures of you doing an activity or something that conveys your hobbies or interests that might have in common with a potential partner, and you could spark up a conversation through that.
Our next question, I'm not actually sure how to answer this one, but the question that we received was, my long-term partner has asked me if I would consider opening our relationship to a polyamorous structure. He wants to explore his sexuality and figured that as I'm bisexual myself, I would be open to it, but I'm not sure. I don't know any polyamorous people, and I'm scared he will leave me and commit monogamously to someone new. So straight away, I've never been in a polyamorous structure. I mean, the only kind of experience I can say is when I lived with 2 housemates back in 2015. We sometimes would sleep together, but not that often. And it was never like in a 3-way situation. It was more of a, like, I'd sleep with him one night, 2 weeks later I might do things with her. Actually, no, that's a fucking lie. We had a threesome on the exact day. So I was like, support the troops, but
how are the audience meant to trust us, you fucking liar? God damn it.
I realized halfway through, I was like, holy shit, yes, we actually have had one 3-way experience. But what I'd say is, I'm surprised that this person's long-term partner, like straight out the gate, is just like, oh, polyamory. Maybe if he had just talked about his feelings, being like, hey, I'm having some same-sex attraction. How would you feel if I explored my same-sex attraction? But maybe also giving her the option to, like, open their relationship. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be full-on polyamory straight away, because I see, like, I've got friends in polyamorous relationships, and it's a very different structure compared to open relationships. Like, some people in their open relationships, they might just be with each other on a romantic and sexual level, but when it comes to opening the relationship, they just do hookups with strangers. That's it. No dating, no other serious relationships. Polyamory can be anything you want. So maybe the guy's even confused as to what polyamorous means. But
could be. I honestly have no idea how to answer this. Again, I'm not, and I've never been in a polyamorous relationship. I've never been open with anyone before. I've always been very monogamous. I actually don't have any advice. I'm so sorry. I think I'm gonna have to pass this one.
How dare you not be polyamorous?
What? Unqualified at most. That also means I might be unqualified not to answer the goddamn question, Justin. You ever think of that?
No.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I hope you can work it out. I understand polyamory is extremely built on trust. So maybe have more of a discussion on it before you decide.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I can think of.
No,
Sorry.
I think that's very solid.
Yeah.
Like open communication is so important for all relationship types. But Robert, what's your advice for anyone perhaps looking to explore polyamory, or what advice do you have for this particular person?
First off, just a few things I want to kind of clarify, I guess. So your relationship and your respective sexualities of yourself and your partner are related, but they're separate things, I guess. So it's just kind of important to not lump everything together. Someone who is polyamorous can have multiple partners or relationships. It's possible for your partner to be poly and have a relationship with someone else, and for you not to be a part of that relationship. You know, poly doesn't always mean thruples or three-way relationships. It can, but it can be a lot more than that. And now your partner wants to explore their sexuality. That could mean a bunch of things. It might be wanting to try a threesome, might be wanting to have some same-sex experiences, or otherwise get a bit sexually adventurous. And to be frank, you don't need to be in a poly relationship to do that. You can discuss other kinds of non-monogamy or open relationships, or set out rules about having sex with other people, whether you only do it together or if you're allowed to do it apart. The most crucial point in all of that is to have clear and honest communication about what you want from your partner and from your relationship.
Our next question is there a right way to take nudes? Now, I have this one personal thing that I do with nudes, which is I never show my face. But also, as a security measure, I take it like different nudes for different people, so that if in the case, like complete being so delusional here, if anyone was to try and leak my nudes, I know straight away who was the source of it. So I can be like, oh, well, I took it at this angle and I only sent it to this person. So now I know who leaked them, or now I know who's trying to blackmail me with them, for instance. But likewise, I think you have to find the right clothes, underwear, lingerie, something that makes you feel really confident and sexy. Like, even though I'm a top, I have a whole drawer full of jock straps, because when I put on jock straps, I feel so fucking sexy. And like, you know, my co-workers are probably listening to this being like, what the fuck? Why did I tune into this? Anyway, but
this is his show, not mine, by the way. He paid me to get here, so there we
go. I like go into the office next week and they're like, so jock straps, hey? No, but anyway.
No, they'll be like, dump that Chris dickhead. He's so annoying.
Like, I find some of my best photos I've ever taken, I'll put on a white singlet, like nice underwear or a jockstrap or something. I take so many photos. I never send them to anyone. Like, because I'm just like, damn, like, I'm going to keep them for myself.
Yeah.
Or, like,
I can love me tonight.
What in God's name are you wearing?
Chanel, she's wearing my clothes. She's wearing my underwear.
Oh, shut up, number 5. Your underwear is probably relieved to be touching actual human genitals.
Again, I'm not someone that really takes nudes. I get worried that, it might get leaked. Again, I'm not like super conceited, like someone might leak my nudes and I'll have to get in a lawyer and people have to pay me lots of money. No, I'm just worried about like the whole blackmailing situation, because it's a very real thing that still happens. I just recommend not showing your face.
Yeah,
that's it, really. I'm really unhelpful with this part.
Somebody help me! I'm sinking!
Hurry! I can't hold it!
Okay, let me just unstrap my baby.
Oh, slipping, sorry.
You mentioned you choose not to send nudes. that's 100% okay. And your
Yeah.
boundaries should be respected. I find if someone's trying to pressure you to send nudes or to do something you do not want to do, and they keep actively pushing against it, like, okay, asking once, that's fine.
Yep.
But if you get a no, respect that no means no.
Yeah.
So I'm dying to know what Robert's advice is. So, Robert, do you have any advice on taking nudes for our listeners?
My short answer, is there a right way to take nudes? No. I feel like I said that in the last episode as well. That might be like my catchphrase. Short answer. There's not a lot of hard and fast rules when it comes to sexual expression, so I'm never going to draw a hard line in the sand like that. I guess similar to picking photos for your dating profiles, I guess it depends what you are trying to say with these photos. Are you trying to take something that's all kind of come hither and flirtatious to get a partner excited before meeting up? Are you trying to send something a bit more explicit so that they can use to masturbate to? Are you trying to be quite direct and just be like, here's my dick, or here are my boobs? Because, some people just want to get straight to the point. Only take or specifically share nudes that you're comfortable with other people seeing. I know this sounds kind of self-explanatory, but I don't know, this sucks. There are chances that there might be some unintended viewers of your nudes. I actually wrote my sociology honours thesis about self-made amateur pornography and social identity in young gay and bi men. And one thing that I did write about was something that we call cropping, which is when, you take the photos and you crop out identifying features, whether that's like your face or tattoos, so that there's some kind of like plausible deniability if your nudes ever fell into the wrong hands. In a perfect world, we would all be able to respect each other's privacy, and that wouldn't be an issue. But realistically, that's just not the case. So there's no right or wrong nudes, but I guess be mindful of what you're comfortable with sharing and what you're comfortable with being out there in the ether.
This final question, I swear to God, I probably wrote this when I was sleepwalking or something, because I really resonate with this question. So anyway, someone wrote in, I keep getting pressured to bottom from hookups on Grindr, but I identify as purely a top. How do I make the question stop? Because it's starting to turn me off Grindr. Now, as a fellow feminine top, I get questions like this all the fucking time. And it was always the same, like other tops being like, hey, you look cute. Let me fuck you. Let me do this. Yeah. And I'd be like, can you not read my profile? Like at one point, I actually changed my Grindr profile name to Top so that other tops would stop fucking messaging me. You know what happened? They messaged me even more. So I could not win.
And I am choosing to ignore this verdict.
What? You can't ignore the verdict?
What verdict? See, this is me ignoring the verdict.
If a top messages me, I'll say, what is it you're looking for? They might just want to make out. They might just want to cuddle. Hey, they might be going through a hard time. They want someone to come over and cuddle them to sleep or something. I was fully down with that. That actually would get me to come over more than full on sex or whatever. But then they keep pushing and it pisses me off because I've had plenty of experiences with other tops who I would say not always, but my limited experiences with other tops tend to be better than my experiences with other bottoms or other verses. And I think it's because maybe we just think the same or something, but like they will do everything else apart from actual penetrative. And it's like more passionate in a sense, maybe because we're both trying to fuck each other but also respect each other's boundaries. So it's like that nice middle ground. But
oh, I love your boundaries. Oh.
There's just something different
consent about it. No, sorry. Which it should be about. You don't have to use those words exactly, but that is what it should be about.
Yeah. And I don't have any advice because I've tried everything to make my Grindr look more top, if you like. Never works.
So another thing I was right about.
Make your name whatever you want, but then I'm just like, I'm a top. I'm a top. Did you read that I'm a top yet? I'm a top. But yeah, if the questions just keep on coming, if they just keep on coming, my advice, I guess, is just to shut it off for a while, I suppose. The reason why I stopped, because I just got spammed and I just got overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do this right now. Plus, I was on my lunch break from work, so it wasn't really the right spot to do it. I was just bored. But yeah, I think just taking your mind off it for a while might help, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's solid advice.
Yeah.
Robert, what's your advice on responding to these kinds of pressuring messages for our listeners?
Honestly, yeah, this just baffles me. I think I said it on the catfishing episode, but you do not have to do anything you don't want to do, and you should not be trying to force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. Whether that's meeting up with a discrete profile or topping someone.
Yeah.
And if you are that kind of person out there who does that, please stop it. There's plenty of squares in the grid. You can find someone that you're actually compatible with. Also, I think if you're trying to convince someone to do something that they don't want to do, or they might not be that experienced with, they might not be actually very good at it. And then it's not going to be satisfying for you or them. So, like, what are you trying to get out of this? If people are harassing you like this, just block them. It's not groundbreaking advice, I know, but honestly, it's probably the most effective course of action to get them to leave you alone. If you possibly look like more of a top or a bottom, and that's kind of annoying, I guess, because people are going to make assumptions or stereotypes, but you never have to fill that role just because of other people's perceptions. You've just got to kind of know what you want and hold your ground. People always laugh about the kind of phrase like, oh, what are you into on Grindr? Like, it's kind of like a really weird question. But when you're talking about sex, it's honestly a helpful conversation to have beforehand, because people want different things. Like, do you kiss? Do you enjoy kissing? Is that, some people think that's necessary or mandatory? What kind of oral or kind of foreplay you expect before any kind of sex, if you are going to even have penetrative sex? Are you on PrEP, or do you want to use condoms? Do you only bottom or only top? Do you do both at the same time, or you do both but not at the same time? There's so many things that you can do in the bedroom, and the more you clarify it beforehand, the less awkward moments you're going to have when you actually do meet up, and you don't have to kind of have those awkward conversations in person if you already know what you're going to be doing.
Thanks, Chris and Robert.